term was a bit vague, so we really wanted to dedicate this session to the different, let's say, scenarios of collaboration between social entrepreneurs and corporate leaders. So the purpose of this morning is really to look at different ways of working together between those two sectors. We identified 3 very specific situations, and we'll dig into that in a second. But the idea is really to help you seize, I would say, the underlying principles. So obviously, please look at the project themselves, but also try to extract from that, I would say, the essence and the key principles that could be then applied to other partnerships. So I'm really lucky to have this big group. We'll try to keep it short in order to have some time at the end of the session for some Q&As. I know it's not always easy because there will be a lot of things to be said, but that's the purpose. And I think since we are not that many, I think that if you really don't understand something, just raise your hand, and we'll try to clarify if needed. If not, keep your question until the end of the session. So basically, the 3, let's say, scenarios that we wanted to discuss this morning are the following one. The first one is really what we call scaling social and environmental impact. It will be featured with both Manuela and Debo. And the idea is really to think about joining forces. You know, it's not. It's really about how each partner is bringing something to the table in order to scale a social project. So in this case, we'll have Manuela from Boehringer Ingelheim and Debo from Nigeria, they will be talking about that. The number 2 is about opening new business perspectives. You will see that in this case, this is a social entrepreneur who is coming and challenging a well-established company about new models and how this is at the same time at the beginning a bit probably disturbing, let's put it that way, for the company, and then suddenly how they realize that there is an interesting potential, but also some issues to be fixed in order to scale this up. And the third one, which is a bit more classic, I would say, is really how can we tackle together a problem that nobody can tackle alone. And you will see that in the case of EDF and Réseau Ecohabitat, how they decided to get together to really bring solutions to low-income populations in France. So that's basically the 3 peers that we have. And Thomas really wanted to be on stage, so we had to find a role for him. So he will be he will be translating Frank, who decided not to speak English today. He's a native English speaker, but he decided that today he will speak in French, and Thomas will have this role of translating. So thank you, Thomas, for that, and Frank as well. So let's get started with this. Is it clear for everyone what we'll try to achieve this morning? All clear? Good. So I'm going to sit next to my fellow panelists and start with the 2 of you, Manuela and Debo, who are lucky to have you here. So we'll start with you, Manuela. Can you just describe briefly yourself, introduce yourself in a short sentence, and then talk about the issue that you guys are trying to solve together?
So my name is Manuela Pastore, and good morning, by the way. So my name is Manuela Pastore, and I work for Boehringer Ingelheim, a huge pharmaceutical company with 50,000 employees all over the world. In 2010, we have started a partnership, an initiative called Making More Health, together with Ashoka. And in these 12 years, we had a long journey, I have to say. So we have several columns. We, of course, have also the support of social enterprises, impact investment dimensions. But myself, I am working with communities, vulnerable communities, at the poverty line. And what we try to do is something very innovative in this stream. So in Kenya and India, we have selected 2 areas. And we have said maybe it is not just about scaling single solutions of social enterprises, but maybe if we look at the whole issue communities have, we can create a pattern of systemic change, which means in a very few words, we work together in these areas with local NGOs, several ones, and we have built a network. And we look at the community's needs in terms of what do they need. And if you look from that perspective, you see it's not just let's say, for example, good water. It's not just energy. It's not just mobility, housing, self-awareness, many, many issues these people at the poverty line have. But it is all this together. I mean, you can bring them a good solution in one space, but this does not mean that it is really sustainable, because they cannot grow because many other issues are hindering that. And that's why we say we need to build this network of partners with other companies, with social enterprises, with local NGOs, other local stakeholders, universities, and to see who can bring in the right puzzle piece, so that maybe in a period over 12 years, a decade, let's say, hopefully we could create a pattern together, a pattern of systemic change that hopefully is much more sustainable and impactful than just scaling up a single solution. This is, as I said, it's an innovative pilot, and yeah.
I think you will talk about your role as a platform to bring together the different pieces
exactly.
that you were mentioning.
So maybe what I should mention, so what is the role Boehringer under MMH is taking here? It is more about change engineering. It is not that we believe that we are change maker ourselves, so we have these networks, yeah, as I mentioned, with also social enterprises and companies and so on, and also the advantage of a big company as a door opener. But on the other side, what we do is like, and I just take here the picture of a house. If you want to build a house, you have many, many ingredients. You have windows, you have doors, you have electricity, you have bricks, and so on. And now you need someone who brings it together in the right way, at the right time, and says, okay, before we put the roof, we have to do the foundation. Before we put the windows, maybe, I don't know, we have to build a frame for the window. So that's why I say I understand myself more as a change engineer in that stream of making more health. And I work with a lot of different change makers.
And we have one on your right. So Debo, thank you for joining us from Nigeria. Can you be a bit more specific about your role in what you do with your organization, and then, you know, what you guys do together in Kenya?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Debo, my name. I'm the founder of BIC Farms from Nigeria. Basically, BIC Farms, let me say, grow crops without soil, hydroponics. And we started this because we discovered that we are the youngest country, let me say, in Africa. And the average age of a Nigerian is below 25. But the average age of farmers in Nigeria is 60 and above. The largest arable land in Africa is in Nigeria, but Nigeria is a poverty headquarter as at that time. So we import food and so many things. So I went into agriculture thinking, how can we turn this around? How can we bring young people into agriculture? How can we create jobs in agriculture? How can we improve the health of our people? Because food travels several kilometers before it gets to fork. And I pioneered hydroponics technology. So using this singular solution, we are able to grow foods that are imported, you know, foods that have more value. And when I say more value, it means when a farmer grows this food, you earn more from your income. So we use this in Nigeria, and it's creating a sort of system change. People start rethinking how their food is grown. So that's basically what I do. Now, in collaboration with BI, my solution is in Nigeria. It hasn't gone too far. Then I need this solution to go around the world. And then BI came in. So BI is like a sort of vehicle that took something that has worked somewhere without reinventing it and said, okay, we have a problem somewhere else. How can we transfer this solution that has worked here into that place? And that's exactly what happened there. It started, you can see we use technology. We started training this community in Kenya online, and gradually things began to change. They began to learn how to grow better food. And when you grow this type of food, it increases your health in terms of nutrition. And not just that, you earn more from this type of food and what have you. So that's basically what has been happening with the collaboration.
So you've been transferring your technologies through, and thanks to Manuela inviting you, and because Manuela was also realizing that there was a need that could not be, I would say, met locally. So that's why you we reached out to you. Concretely, how does that work? You talked about the online trainings. We can see some of your installations there. Concretely, what is currently happening in Kenya, and how does that, I would say, grow and develops?
Yeah, so definitely what we are doing in Kenya is we have 9 partners, 9 NGO partners in 9 locations. In 3 of them, we have built really centers, MMH centers, where you have production rooms, meeting rooms, training rooms, also MMH supermarket and acrobat. And based on the needs of the communities, we realized there is this issue of farming. Many of these poor people have no land, but they need also to have a better nutrition, whether now they do it for their own households or even at a larger scale and start to sell what they produce. And based on the needs, then I contacted him, knowing that he had a solution, and we brought him to Bungoma County. Many of the trainings are taking place online, though the local NGOs help us to organize it on the ground. The people come together, and then our social enterprises, social entrepreneurs, mostly they do online lessons. Some of them also have a hybrid model. They also come on site and check it, and it's I would say a long-term collaboration. It's not just this one-time training, but it is also trying to build relationships between him and the local NGOs, so that, and the communities, of course, so that also the follow-up, the success of the project can be tracked and measured.
So you decided not to reinvent the wheel, which is, I think, a good thing. And very often we see organizations, companies, and not just companies, even NGOs, etc., trying to reinvent stuff. Instead, you decided to ask Debo to bring his technology and his know-how to Kenya.
We are not the specialists in farming. We are specialists in some parts of health.
Yeah.
But we have, as I said, so many issues. Water, farming, and we have also collaboration with Kezia, by the way, because they are specialists in water solutions. So it's really linking the dots together, like puzzle pieces that you add to make a bigger picture happen.
And from the social entrepreneur perspective, how does that work? When you get a call with Manuela, she says, I can give you money, I need you. Is it transactional, or is it something which is really about, we need to tackle a systemic issue together? What was the first, let's say, discussion?
Okay, let me say it started with a dream. I discovered that in Africa, what we should have solved at the primary level gets to secondary level. Most problems are actually nutrition deficient, People prioritize calorie over nutrition, and we eat the wrong food. So it's one of my driving the kind of food we grow. So now we perfected this. Being an Ashoka Fellow, I understood the power of system change. That's the word. Creating a change system. It's not just now adding a technology to make money. No, it's to create a system that will traverse the entire continent. That's the goal. Now, how would that happen? I didn't know. But I said, okay, what I can control within myself, my country, I started that. Then BI came, you understand? So I wouldn't say it was transactional, as it were. It's a form of somebody's looking for, a student looking for his teacher, and then they found themselves. If you're a Scrum Master, you understand this. It's linking all the pieces, BI came, said, okay, we have this platform. We want to get you to that community. It's a different thing. I say, to get into that community, this is what is going to charge and all that. It's not that. We have an interest in this particular community. We want to change the lifestyle of those people. We want them to solve their problem by themselves, and they have identified agriculture, how they grow food, as a major problem. So can you scale your technology there? And that was how it all started.
So where does that stand now in terms of concrete results on the ground, and what's the future for this collaboration? What do you envision?
That's very interesting, because many things are happening that we could not even foresee. What happened is that we have launched a so-called System Changer Network, so an official commitment and declaration of these local NGO partners, really not just to invest in the single project they are anyhow running, with us or even without us, or together with social enterprises, we link to that, but even to invest in this kind of system thinking or system approach, system change approach. And interestingly, we have also found a way to measure the impact in a different way. So we are not just measuring how many partners we found, how many training they did, how many community members participated, but we have also found a way to measure that in terms of quality, quantity, but also, and here I come to the mathematics, so normally you say 1 and 1 is 2, and we are focusing on the end. So how did we link it? What kind of linkage is it? Is it a long-term linkage? Is it a linkage in between the partners, the NGO partners, and of course also linkages to social enterprises, but let me talk about the linkages of the NGOs. Do they collaborate in these 9 locations in different dimensions, in healthcare, in hygiene trainings, in farming? And we have built structures as well. So it's not that now he has to travel to all these 9 locations and to train them, but we have built a structure on the ground within the community. So that we have volunteers at each of the locations who come to all the trainings, who get also leadership skills and so on. And so the ownership of all the teaching is with the communities. And it's the communities, volunteers who then travel to the other locations and bring that kind of knowledge to the other place. Meanwhile, at the other place, maybe the NGO has another focus on women's health. And while they exchange, the people coming from A get what the others learned and bring it even back to the first location. So that in that way, we have a much more holistic tackling of all these issues. And you can measure that. You, as I said, you measure the relations. So you have criteria behind, you give it numbers. And then you have really an index, a system index. How is the change happening when you, and especially when you match it with the basic needs of the Maslow's pyramid. And then strategically, interestingly, you can also see, you get diagrams out of it and you say, okay, oh, maybe in these 9 locations, we are very good in health, we are very good with water solutions. Oh, but in the energy sector, we haven't done anything, and this is essential. So we have in the next year maybe to look more into some social entrepreneurs who can bring solutions.
Yeah, that's measuring system change is a kind of a challenge. So congrats if you already come up with a set of tools. So I'm sure that a lot of people here would be super interested in knowing that. Before we get to the next group, Debo, if you look back to this collaboration, what are the, let's say, the key principles that you want to extract from that and that you would like to share with the audience today? How to make this successful? What are the key ingredients that you need to find in such a collaboration?
Okay, thank you. I think one of the first major important methodology is the fact that we use a TOT principle, train the trainer. Just like Manuela said, we didn't train a whole community. We trained the thought leaders. So they identify individuals with influence. Individuals, if you touch, can affect several others. Earlier this year, when we visited Bungoma, and just one group met more than 200 cooperatives. You can imagine that a cooperative has probably a minimum of 10, 20 people. Now 200, just one group. So we taught the core people, the leaders, who now went to now train others. So I think that methodology is very important. Training the trainer is very important. The second thing I will also say is we should have a mindset of system change. System change is core. System change means you need to look at the root cause. Sometimes a lot of people are actually tackling symptoms and you don't know what is causing it. You know, so you need to look at the root cause and make sure that is what you are tackling. That is what this collaboration is actually all about. So let me stop there.
Great, we'll keep that. You know, the root cause, I know it speaks to Thomas and his work on Racine. Isabelle Durocan, let's wake up. We know it's early. We had a long night, I know. Let's really focus on your case. This is a different one, though. Huh? We said that you guys started from a different perspective. Monsieur Barbier. Well, no, we're all over. That's in family. That stays in the family, and we know that it won't be on the social network at all. So can you just start and maybe share a bit, you know, where you come from? What was the, let's say, what's the challenge you wanted to address, and where was Garcia when you started engaging with Durocan?
Yes, so my name is Isabelle de Momont. I'm a microbiologist and working as regulatory manager since 30 years in a company at the beginning manufacturing chemical products, cleaning and disinfectant. And some years ago, we understood that if we continue in the same line, we will have many chances not to be there tomorrow because the world is changing. And in 2018, we totally changed the way we are working inside the company. We first create a new name, Kersia, and then we also define clearly the mission we want to have, which is to contribute to food safety from farm to fork, with a solution based always on cleaning and disinfectant product solution, expertise we want to share with all our stakeholders. Based on that, maybe some of you see yesterday the presentation of my favorite CEO, but we understood that we need to be accompanied on this transformation, and we chose to join the Ashoka program. So it's 3 years now that with Claire and Arnaud and Wafa, we are implementing this program inside the company, training each year around 25 people inside the company to become change makers. And year after year, we hope to have more and more people working with us in another way. We have business, and from farm to fork, we have business with farmers. For hygiene product, for dairy farmers, for example, and they need some hygiene product to be sure about the quality of the milk at the end. And we understood that the agriculture is transforming very quick, and the people are coming to us with different solutions with regenerative agricultures, saying that we have to include new business in this new model, and we have to make new business, and they try to push, and it was difficult to understand what was it exactly, because everyone has his own definition, and if we use classical consultancy, we just have the vision of the consultancy and the business you want to go. And then, as we were accompanied by Ashoka, Claire proposed me at one stage to meet Durkan and try to discuss differently what is this transformation of the agriculture, why, what are the objectives, and to try to find how Kersia can act, how Kersia can integrate this new model, but by a different way. And the experience we had was very, very different from what we could have done in a classical way.
Let's pause, and that's a fantastic teaser. Thank you, Isa. Because
I
now we want to hear from you, Durkan, how that worked. I remember that, I heard that the first meeting was, for some people at Kersia, was a bit destabilizing. So can you share a bit your experience, what you do first, obviously, and then what was this first interaction with Kersia and how did this worked?
Yeah, sure. My name is Durkan. I'm from Turkey. I was chosen as an Ashoka Fellow in Turkey in 2017. And right now residing in Turkey and in Sweden. So I have like these two sites. And since 2013, I'm working in what I call regenerative agriculture. But every time I say, look, I'm not agriculture person. I am looking personally, the way I put it, like is transcending humanity while solving, plant crisis, like climate change and biodiversity and everything. And then regenerative agriculture just been to me, perfect channel and gateway. So I'm not like agriculture person, even though, that's me in the picture you see herding the goats. That's me working for United Nations as a consultant and everything, but I see myself as a person who use agriculture to make real system change. And for me it was like, again, Claire coming to me with the idea, and also actually some other colleagues from Kersia getting in touch with me. And, when you hear from companies, especially in the last few years, the word regenerative agriculture became very hot. I mean, I feel like we were a bunch of couple of hundred nerds in the world talking about regenerative agriculture, saying that this is the biggest thing in humanity, for humanity and everything. And we're like, yeah, whatever. And then in the last 2 years, like now everybody's talking about carbon offsets, carbon credits, soil carbon sequestration and everything on like true regenerative agriculture. So when companies come, you are very used to that. You know, like, okay, now companies woke up to an idea, so they will come to you and they will tell you that they want to go into regenerative agriculture, and they will pretend that they know exactly what they want, and while they have no idea what they want.
Let's just pause. And be frank. Who knows what generative agriculture is really? Or do you need a 30 seconds pitch to get it? Yes? I see people nodding. Okay. So can you do that in 30 seconds?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, doing two things in the same time in the same place. One, producing high quality food, and second, increasing the ecosystem indicators, soil health, soil carbon and everything. If you do those two things in the same time, in the same place, that's regenerative agriculture. So it's not about what you do. It's not about how nice and, you know, whatever cultural, traditional, you do. Those are all great. But it's all about outcome. If you increase the soil health and other indicators that we are talking while producing food, that's regenerative agriculture. And that's one thing that we also see in the world right now, like, you know, many big companies, corporations go into regenerative agriculture. And then you ask, okay, what are you going to do? Oh, yeah, we're going to do this or that practice. We're going to work with scientists and everything. And we keep reminding them, please don't make regenerative agriculture another fuzzword, another trend word that will be forgotten in 2 years, because it's about the outcome, while we all very value, of course, the process. But anyway, so when Kersia came, the first thing I look at, like, dude, how much time are we going to spend on them pretending they know everything and me like trying to tell them that we can actually work? And the very good thing that I really liked, very honestly, they were directly like, you know, we are here to learn. So there was no time spent on let's put institutional egos on the table and like go around them for a while, kind of thing. So it was very to the point, and I was like, yeah, okay, let me be useful, hopefully.
Great. So I know that this first meeting again was sometimes, you know, a bit surprising. Let's put it that way for some people at Kersia. How did it work?
Yes, because it was different, and that's what we want to implement into the company. It was not a meeting where the people arrive with slides ready to see during 1 hour meeting. It was without slides. We listen to each other. We inspire each other, because Kersia explained what is our model. And Johan, time after time, tried to explain what is regenerative agriculture and how we can understand it. So it was really different. We use co-creation, I think, without having at the beginning the clear target to use co-creation, but we just days after days use co-creation and try to see where we can land with a win-win solution together.
And so when you combine a chemical, let's say, company, to make it shorter, and the approach that you're, what type of outcome do you get? How does that...
We get the feeling that we can bring something to the new model, because we arrive with the idea that we will make new business, new profit, and we exit from those workshops, with the idea that we will give our expertise to the model.
Durkan, is it a usual, I would say, journey for a company to first, you know, realize and discover regenerative agriculture, and then realize that there is some opportunities for them down the line that they could seize if they were able to adapt their model, or if they were able to shift their business model towards expertise or consulting, right, at some point?
Well, I mean, I think in this case, Kersia is in a quite a special case, special position, because for the ones who don't know, I mean, as if I am the Kersia person here, Kersia produce products and services for farmers and also brands and companies that are working on at any point of the food, let's say, chain, right, from the, as you say, farm to fork. And like when I, for instance, the process went on like this. Okay, Durukan, what can you do for us? And then I prepared this suggestion of a 5-workshop series that will take place in 3 months with like 3 weeks intervals. And the idea was this: look, this is not going to be about me as an expert telling you what is regenerative agriculture, because I don't think it's how it works. And so it's going to be a co-creation and collaboration, co-exploration process. So my aim is for you, your team, Kersia team, to have a better understanding about what regenerative agriculture is and can be for your company. So it's not an academic thing. It's really a business development case for your company. And that was the aim, and that's how we started. And then in the process, as Isabel says, like, it's not me like coming, okay, now this is the homework, like now read this and understand this and go home and, you know, like become expert because I'm here expert. No, it was more like, look, you're a company, I understand that. I'm a social entrepreneur, meaning that I am also a company, much smaller than you are, but still. So you need to change you want to change. There is a willingness, which is very important, by the way. Without that, nothing will work. There is a willingness. There is a collaborator who's asking, I want to change. Can you help me? Without that question coming, you cannot do much, right? So that's how the process worked. And as you say, I mean, I am not there to impress them. I'm not there to work as a, as you say, normal consultant. And that gives a lot of freedom also to be doing things in a different way. And yeah, I think it was very meaningful. And, you know, for instance, the quality of the discussions that we had in the workshops, from a very philosophical point of view, but in a very concrete way. And also another thing, the level of trust that we created. Like in the second workshop, I was already listening to all their inside company, let's say, not gossip, but how you say? Yeah, like talks. Like as if I was one of the, you know, people in the team. So they were very open, and I love that. So we were really able to speak as if like, okay, let's create something, and we are all in the same team feeling.
Yeah, all on the same boat. You said, you know, it starts with people asking, you know, what they can change, etc. How is it received on the Kersia side? Is everyone ready for this? Oh. and what do you want to do in order to really prep them up to be able to receive and truly engage?
One big learning of this journey with Durukan was on this specific topic, part of a complete program. We start with the idea that we want to put a new business or a new product to answer this new model. And we hand the journey saying, okay, we don't have immediately something to sell. But we can imagine to implement new solutions which are very disruptive from what we are doing. And our company is not ready to face. Our people in contact with farmers, today they are not ready to change the business model at this level. So the recommendation was to say, okay, in parallel, first we have to make many efforts to give those learnings, to transmit, to forward those learnings we had together with little groups during those workshops, with people which were open. We choose people open on this subject, expert but open to change. And now we have to give those learnings to people who are not maybe ready, but we need immediately to train them and to give them those learnings, because their customers, the farmers, they are discussing this new model. And so if they arrive at the farms and they are not able to discuss at the same level about this new model, they won't be seen as an expert. And as we want to be an expert, we need that those people get very quick those learnings. So we will try to inspire, to give those learnings. But in parallel, yes, we can imagine a new business model with new product, maybe for the soil, or I don't know, with impact measurement together, including our solutions. So there are many things to do. Our teams are maybe not ready to do that, so we can deploy them in parallel and wait. They will come to us. They know we are there. They know we are working on it because there is the Ashoka program, committed and different. So they know we are inspiring, we are thinking about new solutions. And at one time, we hope that they will be ready and they will come to us. At the beginning, I tried to force the people to come to this program. I tried to force the people to work on regenerative agriculture. And I had many people who were very disappointed about my new position. And they say, what are you doing? We are there to make business. Okay, you are not ready. You are not ready, come later on.
It takes time. This is one of the principles that we will be sharing later on. Last, really short answer, because I know that you mentioned that the role of a third party when bringing different worlds together is absolutely critical. I think it will be the segue also for the last group. But can you just share in a few sentences what you
in the program we are working on with Ashoka, committed and different in our company. We face a difficulty which was to give to our people, because it's a voluntary program, so they can join, but it's on voluntary basis. We don't force the people to come, and it's not only for management or for top people, it's for everyone, but on the basis of the voluntary. And we face the difficulties that some people don't understand what we are doing. And this collaboration was a very, very good example. And now, as we want next year, we will deploy it to train the people, to make the same for them. They will see what is this collaboration concretely. And for me, this third party, this contact with fellow on a concrete example linked with the business of the company with clear, immediate possibility of new business is a good thing.
Thank you, and that's the perfect segue to what we will be now talking about. So thank you, Valérie and Franck, for being with us as well. We talk about a different universe. We are coming back to France here in the field of low-income populations and how to improve their energy efficiency, etc. Valérie, you work for EDF, a huge public company dealing with electricity production and distribution. Can you share a bit of yourself and what you do at EDF, but also the problem that you guys are trying to tackle together, and why this was so important to come together to solve it?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Valérie Simon-Prudhomme. I'm working at EDF, Electricity of France. We produce, we distribute, but we sell also electricity around the world, actually. Solidarity is a core value for the group. It was the basic idea. And one of our priorities was to fight against fuel poverty. And for us, one of the top priority was house, and it's still the big challenge is housing renovation, and especially for people facing hardship. So we spoke a lot with Ashoka, because we worked with Ashoka for many years. It's an old partnership, but we had to focus with this challenge and with someone, with a fellow. It was the basic idea. And it's thanks to Ashoka we met Franck, Bio, and Réseau Eco-Habitat. And their purpose is to work with people facing fuel poverty and thermal renovation of their house day to day. So for us, it was a perfect meeting, perfect match for us. Two perspectives, two knowledge for one challenge. So it was the beginning of our work together.
And it's a big challenge. So
it's a big challenge.
Frank, can you just share a bit with us how that works? What you do with Réseau Ecohabitat? And yeah, Thomas needs a mic as well. Thank you. What you do with Réseau Ecohabitat, and a bit of the problem, because it's not just a technical issue, this is much more profound than that. So can you elaborate on that? And just for the audience not to be surprised, for once, Frank will be shorter and the translation will be longer. It's not Thomas making it up, it's just that we prepared a bit and that we will have a short answer in French, then Thomas will be translating in English. Thank you, Tom. So what's the issue you're trying to fix?
D'abord, merci de m'accueillir aujourd'hui et je suis ravi. Réseau Ecohabitat a mis en œuvre une méthode qui permet d'identifier, de reconnaître les personnes en grande précarité. Et l'enjeu pour nous, c'était de faire reconnaître le métier d'accompagnement social. Parce qu'aujourd'hui...
So he's really happy to be here. He said that Réseau Ecohabitat has developed a method to identify the most disadvantaged public, and the stake for Ecohabitat is to make this social work the holistic outlook that Réseau Habitat does when looking at those marginalized populations recognized by the state.
Et aujourd'hui, le social, le métier d'accompagnateur social dans la rénovation énergétique n'est pas pris en compte par les dispositifs publics, par le gouvernement.
And because today the social work that is needed in connection to the renovation work is absolutely overlooked by the government.
Et le partenariat avec EDF, avec un grand partenaire industriel, nous permet aujourd'hui de proposer une solution qui fait reconnaître auprès de la puissance publique ce métier d'accompagnement social qu'on n'aurait pas pu porter seul.
And today the partnership with EDF is actually making it possible for this social work to be recognized by the states, which we couldn't have done alone without a big partner like EDF who comes with the legitimacy.
Thank you, Frank. So maybe can you just, or Valérie or Frank, just explain concretely on the ground? We see some pictures of renovated houses, etc., and this is the whole house that you renovate. Can you just explain concretely what happens on the ground and how you guys join forces? Valérie, do you want to test that?
Yeah, sure. So the idea is to work together in a co-creation project. It's not, a transactional project. It was for us, it has to be a business project to work with Frank. So we had at the very beginning a long journey to understand what we are doing in EDF and in Réseau Ecohabitat, and we visited actually houses. We tried to be, open-minded and to understand what was the daily operation for Frank. And I would say it was quite a journey for us because we produce electricity, we distribute electricity, we sell electricity, but it's a very virtual world for us. We don't know people, in their house, how they live. We know there is fuel poverty, of course, like everyone, but it's not the same thing. When you see it, you understand it, and there is a lot of different dimensions in this problem. You have social problem, learning problem, money problem, you have geographical problem, you have a lot of things with when you have to renovate a house, there is a problem of subvention, there is a problem of technical world around you, and that kind of thing. So it's multidimensional, it's a multidimensional problem. So for us, it was to work together to encourage a solution, or different solutions, and it was our journey. We identified, I would say, 4, 5 big projects together, and we tried to follow these different projects with different direction, departments inside EDF, with different subsidiaries, and different connections. So, for example, we had a project about how we work with the state to, I don't know exactly in English, but to find some subvention, it's kind of subvention, energy savings subvention, this kind of things, to have the influence together on the state. But we have also a project because we have a subsidiary specialized in renovation, thermal renovation, how we can work with this kind of disadvantaged people, vulnerable people, together. We had a project about, okay, Frank, we love what you do, but be honest, it's too small, it's fragile, financially fragile, and you have to be stronger. You have to review, to challenge your economic business model. You have to do that, because if not, in 2 years, you will be dead. And
You're nice. You're very nice with Frank.
That's
cool.
We have to work together. So it was kind of several projects, and we speak very, openly, and every month.
Thank you, Valérie. Yes. I'd love to hear from you, Frank. Because for me, there is, you're a small organization compared to EDF, which is a gigantic company. So how do you overcome this unbalanced relationship? What is the key principle, almost in the governance of the project? How do you establish a peer-to-peer relationship with such a huge organization? Comment tu établis la gouvernance, la bonne gouvernance pour être vraiment dans un travail de pair à pair et pas déséquilibré?
La première chose, ça a été vraiment de faire une visite de terrain et de vivre ensemble, sans nos costumes, sans nos responsabilités de structure, réseau Ecohabitat, EDF, mais des personnes qui ont partagé des conditions de vie avec des propriétaires.
So the first thing was to do together a site visit, so we have a shared experience of what those people are actually experiencing on the ground.
La deuxième, ça a été de mettre en place une ambition, d'écrire ce qu'on voulait vivre, enfin construire ensemble, et de manière complètement partagée, en respectant nos structures. Réseau Ecohabitat, le petit pousset, et le grand acteur national EDF, avec beaucoup de simplicité.
The second principle was to co-create a shared vision of what this partnership would be about, respecting our different identities, Réseau Ecohabitat being the really small, tiny organization, and EDF, that more bigger, powerful organization.
Et le troisième facteur qui a permis la réussite, c'est pour les acteurs de parler au nom du « je ». Je crois, j'engage mon institution, mais en abandonnant un peu un travail de posture et de préjugés du petit qui regarde le grand ou du grand qui regarde le petit. Donc on a vraiment travaillé avec bienveillance, avec passion, et en mettant même nos émotions sur la table au travers de ce qu'on engageait personnellement.
The third principle was really to say I speak from a space of us as individuals and not of like leaving the institutional posture. What was your second point?
Emotional.
And yeah, let emotions come into play, acknowledge, welcome those emotions in the relationship.
Any other insight? I love that. Huh? I think it's super powerful. But do you have other things to add to this governance? How does that work concretely? Do you get together on a regular basis? And same question about the third party, because you mentioned that having Ashoka on your side was important. What is the role of this third party in such a collaboration?
Ashoka a joué le rôle de tiers de confiance. Donc il a vraiment permis la confiance, de construire de la relation de confiance entre un petit acteur et un gros acteur, et de réguler en fait ces rencontres pour que ce qu'on apporte comme expérience, comme idée, soit au service de l'intérêt des deux structures.
Ashoka has really played this role for building trust among the two parties.
That's a good summary.
He speaks more than
that's good.
I shifted. He speaks more than I summarize.
Exactly. No, that's change making is also about that. Valérie, you want to add to this about the governance and the third party aspect?
Yeah, Ashoka was an enormous part of the process, because the first time we met, we wanted to work together. We knew that, but we didn't know how. You know, it was like, my God, what are we going to do together? I have no idea. It was so big for us, so uncertain. So we needed to be, you know, parenting. It's like parenting. Ashoka was someone here to say, okay, we have a process, we will help you. And so every month we spent a whole day together with Ashoka and with Frank and his team. And we work, we think, we share connection outside and inside our enterprises. We share also ideas, doubts, and everything. And between two sessions, we worked inside our companies. So it was a structure, it was a spirit, it was a methodology, and a guide. So we needed that for sure.
Thank you, Valérie. We have 5 minutes before we need to close. I would love to maybe get some Q&As in 5 minutes, so it means that you will have to be super succinct, you will have to be super sharp. If you know already whom you want to ask your question to, please say it. And while we do that, we're going to put on the screen 10 principles for collaborations that we extracted from actually our partnership with BI in the last 10 years. You will see that there is a lot of what was said in terms of what is important in a successful collaboration between social entrepreneurs and a company. It's going to appear at some point. But let's start with the questions. And you can find that on our website, by the way. There is a full report that you can download on what works and what we've learned in the last 10 years with this partnership with Boehringer Ingelheim. So who wants to start? Yes, you have the mic.
Yeah, hi, I'm Bettina from Germany. I'm a university professor and I try to educate social entrepreneurs. And I'm not really sure, maybe the answer of my question is now there, but I don't have time to read, so I give it to you. What can social entrepreneurs do if they are not Ashoka Fellows, because not everybody is going to become Ashoka Fellow, to get in contact with the big companies, because I think it's a real big opportunity for them to grow, to increase, to scale. But yeah, it's not everybody going to become Ashoka Fellows. So maybe give me some hints. What can I tell my students? How can they follow this way without being Ashoka Fellow? Thank you.
You want to take it up? Debo.
Okay, I think social entrepreneurs need to know you cannot be winking in the dark. It was new for me when I started, and somebody called me and said, I've seen a lot of your work, but it's limited to this environment. You need to publicize your work. You need to be comfortable talking about your work. So I created a social media page. It was from my social media page Ashoka found me and so many other organizations that I've worked with. Through Ashoka, I got collaboration with BI. So you cannot be winking in the dark as a social entrepreneur. You must make what you're doing open. People must see you. Visibility is very, very important. I think it's one of the core skills that a social entrepreneur must know. And the second one I want to say is you must know how to share your story. People are doing so many things, but they don't know how to explain it. And until people understand what you are doing, there is no way they can bring this factor into it. Yeah.
May I add one thing very, very quickly into this? Because this is something really deep to my heart. The question was how the social entrepreneurs can find the companies, right? We think the way we speak. Let's change the paradigm. How the companies can find those social entrepreneurs. That's, to me, very important.
This is a matter of feeling legitimate, I think, for social entrepreneurs. They have solutions for companies, and they should not doubt about that. Very often they say, oh, but can I bring something, you know? Can Frank bring something to EDF? Yes, apparently yes. Duo can same, etc. So I think that we need to help them also be sure of what they have to propose, and their value proposition should be professional, obviously, but visible, as we said. We had another question. Yes, we need to close. But let's take this question, because this gentleman had their hand. This one.
So, quick question. So, CSR, so corporate social responsibility, was created on the backbone of companies actually having a destructive impact, obviously. So that's how it came all together. So how can companies actually take that responsibility and then combine it with social entrepreneurs? Because again, it's been repeated that there had to be business in it for the company to be part of it, which then is contradictory to CSR.
I think it's two different programs on our company. CSR is a program to be sure that we are committed to the right priorities with the 3P, people, planet, profit. And it's clear, but to accompany that, we need another program with transformation. Because if we don't transform the people, we can make a lot of greenwashing with CSR as big company. And if I want to be concrete, if I want to be right, if I want to be to say the truth and to make what I say, I need another program to accompany me, not only CSR.
So I'm sorry, because this man is looking at me very severely, so I'm starting to get a bit worried. So, gentlemen, I'm so sorry, but you will have to share your question maybe privately. Thank you so much. I hope you learned, and a big round of applause for our participants. I just want to say, beyond the 10 principles you see here, I think that there was something super interesting about, it's all about system change. It's looking at the holistic solutions. It's about bringing the right players. It's about shifting the culture to be able to really engage as a peer-to-peer. And there is much more down the line, so please feel free to reach out to our participants. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day. Merci.